Hello everyone, this will be our last module which is composed of module 8 and 9. It is about sustainable world and global citizenship. So class, nifuse ko na yung dalawang module kasi since the coverage naman of the two modules are not that long, okay? So again, this is about sustainable world and global citizenship. Before we move on to our next slide, okay, let us first uh, try to know what is the difference between sustainable development and sustainability. So ano nga ba yung pagkakaiba between the two? So when we say sustainability class, it is often thought of or it is often thought as a long-term goal. Okay, so for example, more sustainable world. Okay, while sustainable development refers to the many processes, okay, and pathways to achieve it. Okay, so meaning, for example, is that sustainable agriculture or sustainable forestry. Okay, so sustainable production and consumption. It also includes good government, research and technology, transfer or technology transfer, education, and training, and belike. So meaning when we say sustainable development, it is a long process, okay? So kaya nga natin sinabing sustainable, ibig sabihin, kailangan nasusustain siya palagi, okay? So that is what we mean, or that is the difference between sustainable development and sustainability, okay? So what is the difference between sustainable development and economic development? Okay, so when we say economic development, it is based on economic growth. Okay, so tandaan niyo yung class ha, that an economic development is based on economic growth, of course. And on the other hand, when we say sustainable development, okay, so para siyang class model, okay? Sustainable development model is a multidisciplinary concept, okay? And it relies on reducing resource consumption, producing clean alternative energy, so protection of environment, factors, quality of life in its complexity. Okay? So, yun. Yun yung mga sinasabi na sustainable development. Okay? And of course, examples of those sustainable development are the wind energy, the solar energy, the crop rotation, what else? Water efficient fixtures and the green spaces. Okay? So, meaning these are examples, or ibig sabihin lang ito mga examples na to class is that we can attain sustainable development because of this. Okay? So here we have different terms that we'll be able to meet as we go on with our discussion about sustainable development and global citizenship, okay? And of course, the food security is also part of this module. So first, we have the what we call degrowth, okay? So when we say degrowth, okay, it is an idea that critiques the global capitalist system which pursues growth at all costs. Okay, so in your screen, you can see that the growth is a movement advocating for lesser or slower macroeconomic growth as a way to achieve development. Okay, so it it is causing human exploitation and environmental destruction also. Okay, so when we say degrowth, it is a planned reduction of energy and resource use designed, okay, of course, to bring the economy back, okay, into balance with the living world in a way that reduces inequality, and of course, it improves human well-being. Okay? So, meron ding tinatawag class na the growth movement advocate. Okay, so what does the growth movement advocate for? So ano ba yung purpose nila? So the growth movement of activists, okay, and researchers advocates for societies that prioritize social and ecological well-being instead of corporate profits, okay? So overproduction and excess consumption. It means that when we say degrowth, it means transforming societies into ensure, or rather, transforming societies to ensure environmental justice and a good life for all within planetary boundaries. Okay, so that is what we mean by uh, the growth movement advocate. So then the second one is the sustainable development. Okay, it states that this is an economic development that focuses on fulfilling the basic needs of citizens rather than amassing profits. Okay? So when we say sustainable development, okay, it refers to the, of course, the economic development. Okay? So that is conducted without depletion of natural resources. Okay? So ibig sabihin, uh, enable for us to develop, okay, this sustainable development. Of course, we human beings should never uh, waste natural resources. Okay, kumbaga, para lang ma-achieve natin yung tinatawag na sustainable development, hindi kailangan na aksayahin natin or sirain natin yung ating natural resources. Okay? Uh, Sabi rin ni, according to the New Oxford American Dictionary, okay, the definition of sustainable development is that uh, development that meets the needs of the present, okay, without compromising the ability of future generations to meet their own needs, okay? As I've mentioned earlier, so hindi natin kailangang uh, isirain or ikompromiso yung ating natural resources just to meet our own needs, okay? Because remember, meron pa tayong mga present generations na gagamit pa rin itong tinatawag natin mga natural resources na to, okay? So that is what we mean by sustainable development. And of course, we also have food security. So food security state that exists when all citizens and have a stable and hampered access to sufficient and nutritious foods, or food rather. So si food security, according to the United Nations Committee on World Food Security, food security means that all people at all times have physical, social, and economic access to sufficient, safe, and nutritious food that meets their food preferences and dietary needs for an active and healthy life. So, ibig sabihin, when we say food security, so ibig sabihin, ang lahat ng tao, kumakain sila. Okay? So, ilang bang beses tayo kalimitan kumakain sa isang araw? So, all citizens are eating 3 times a day. Okay? And of course, not only eating 3 times a day, but of course, safe and nutritious foods that meets our food preferences, okay, or our dietary needs, enable for us to be active and to have a healthy life, okay? So that is what we mean by food security. Then the next one is that global citizenship. Okay, when we say global citizenship, these are citizenship that puts emphasis on one's responsibilities to the international community. So when we say global citizen class, iba yon dun sa kumbaga dun sa global citizenship, because when we say global citizenship, it is all about encouraging young people to develop the knowledge, skills, and values that they need to engage with the world. And it is also about the belief that we can all make a difference. Okay? So lagi nga di ba natin naririnig or madalas nating marinig that we could make this place a better place, or we could make this world a better place. Okay? So when we say global citizen, it is someone who is aware of and understands the wider world and their place in it. Okay, so they take an active role in their community and work with others to make our planet more peaceful and sustainable and fairer. So ibig sabihin, if you are really a global citizen, you are someone who is aware of what is happening in your environment, in your surroundings, in your society, of course. And because you are aware on that, then you will actively participate, okay, on the works and activities in your community or in our community, okay, in order to make this planet more peaceful, rather peaceful, sustainable, and fairer, okay, as I mentioned earlier. Then we also have this what we call the Anthropocene or Anthropocene. Okay, so the Anthropocene is a new um, present day epoch, okay, in which scientists say that we have significantly altered the Earth through human activity, okay. So these changes include, of course, yan yung mga kasama dyan, yung global warming, the habitat loss, changes in the chemical composition of the atmosphere, oceans and soil, and animal extinctions. Okay? So, kaya nga 'di ba dapat talaga as part of this global world, okay, and being the global citizen of this world, we should do something, okay? Or we need to do our duties and responsibilities as a global citizen in order to protect the Mother Earth, okay? So, yun yung tinatawag nating uh, this Anthropocene, okay? Na sinasabi nga that we have significantly altered the Earth through human activity, okay? So we have here the unsustainability of humanity's earth transforming domination. So we have the collapsing financial market and rising unemployment. Of course, diba, how are we going to achieve this sustainable development or the sustainable goals that we are aiming, okay? If merong nangyayaring collapsing in financial market. So it will really affect our economy. And kapag naapekto ng ekonomiya, of course, nagkakaroon ng problema. So there will be possibility na hindi masustain yung mga pangangailangan ng tao. And of course, the rising unemployment, so it means also that when we have unemployment increase, meaning maraming pwedeng magutom. So that's why it will be a barrier or a hindrance in achieving also the sustainable development. Okay. Then we have also what we call the shrinking middle class. Okay. So the shrinking middle class, sabi nga, the middle classes are getting squeezed, particularly hard by the rising cost of education kasi nga nagmamahal yung education, not only education but of course healthcare and housing, and even the college fees are up, not only here in the Philippines but of course kahit sa US and in other countries talagang medyo tumataas na yung college fees, okay? And homes are more, or rather, homes are much more expensive relative to incomes. Kaya 'di ba, it is very hard for the Filipinos to have their own house or homes. Kasi nga sobrang laki or sobrang mahal ang presyo, samantalang yun namang sweldo lang ng mga Pilipino, hindi naman ganon. So kailangan pang mag-loan talaga in able to avail their dream house. Okay? Then meanwhile, technology and global competition are also factors destroying many middle class careers. Okay, of course, diba, higher skills are no longer passports to good jobs and incomes. Ngayon, the middle class counted as people earning between 75% and 200% of the median income in each country. Okay, and it has actually shrunk since the mid 1980s, and from 64% to 60% of the population of richer countries. Okay, so now about 70% of baby boomers were already middle class in their 20s, and that is according to the study. Okay, when we say baby boomers class, so these are the people who were born between 1946 to 1964. So probably ngayon sila ay mga 57 years old na to 75 years old. Okay? Then, of course, extreme indebtedness and climate change are uh, part also of this unsustainability of humanity's earth transforming domination. Of course, dahil nga, kumbaga, dahil nagkakaroon tayo ng mga economic fluctuation and recession, so ayan, patuloy lalo tayong nababaon sa mga utang. And of course, climate change, alam niyo na 'di ba kung ano ang ginagawa, okay, or nangyayari ngayon in our climate change or because of this climate change. Okay, then we also have this what we call stability and sustainability, as we mentioned kanina. Again, stability, the short-term firmness in position, permanence and resistance to change, especially in disrupted way, sustainability, long-term capacities of a system to exist, not its short-term resistance to change. Okay. So again, the difference between stability and sustainability is that the stability is the condition of being stable, okay? Or alam niyo yung tinatawag na equilibrium, okay? And thus resistant to change, while sustainability is the ability to sustain something, okay? So sustainability class, it means meeting our own needs without compromising the ability of future generations to meet their own needs, okay? And in addition, class, to natural resources, we also need, of course, social and economic resources. So, ibig sabihin, enable for us to have this sustainability na tinatawag. Hindi lang uh, natural resources ang kailangan natin. Of course, we also need social and economic resources. Sustainability is not just environmental, okay, take note of that. Embedded in most definitions of sustainability, we also find concerns for social equity and economic development, okay? So let's now move on to the next. So these are the unsustainability of globalization, okay? So number one, the Western-centric globalization is premised on the idea of making everyone live and consume like a typical Western does, okay? So number one, in this view class or in this view, the contemporary capitalism, okay, driven and led by those greedy and grabby Western countries in Europe and North America, has established, okay, rules of trade and of course business relations that do not serve the interest of the poorer in the world. Okay? So, alam naman natin, di ba, class, that siguro nga dahil ang main goal naman talaga nitong mga nasa Western countries is to gain profit at any cost, okay? Regardless kung sino man yung maapektuhan or matapakan nila. What is important to them is to gain profit, okay? Then, the current trend points to the global race to the bottom with regards to wages and corporate rates, the continuous commodification of the world's resources from water to air, from minerals to forests, lands under the current economic system, would exhaust the world's finite resources. Okay, so those are part of this unsustainability of globalization. Okay, here we are talking about the Mother Earth. Okay, so alam naman natin when we say Mother Earth, of course, siya yung kumbaga he is the one who gave us everything na nandito. Okay? Siya yung, kumbaga, siya yung tinatawag nating pinakang nagpro-protect ng ating Earth. Okay? So, Mother Earth is an indigenous Earth goddess equivalent to Mother Earth. Okay? So, a Bolivian concept of giving Mother Earth and all creatures right. So, when we say Mother Earth class, okay, tinatawag din kasi nito, sa iba itong Pachama, okay, Pachamama rather, okay. So, what power does the Pachamama have? Okay, so sabi nga dyan, an indigenous earth goddess equivalent to Mother Earth, yun yung si Pachamama. Okay, so according to Inca legend, Pachamama is an ever-present and independent deity, okay, who controls fertility, presides over planting and harvesting, and causes earthquakes, okay? She alone has the creative power to sustain life on earth and take it away, okay? So, class, si Pachamama is known to be as the goddess of the elements. Why? Kasi nga, kumbaga, she can create disaster, okay? Just like flood, okay? Sabi nga, di ba, she has the power, she has this creative power to sustain life on earth and take it away, okay? So, kumbaga, kahit anong oras, kaya niyang kunin yung buhay ng isang tao, okay? So, ibig sabihin, kung sinira natin yung kalikasan natin, pwedeng-pwedeng ibalik sa atin yon ng Mother Earth, okay? So, sabi nga, ang basurang itinapon mo, babalik sa'yo. Okay? Especially if hindi mo siya properly dispose, of course. So, ayan, nagtapon ka sa mga ilog, dagat, or kanal na mga basura. So, ayan, pagdating ng mga flood, yan, bumabalik. Okay? So, yung tinatawag na karma ng kalikasan. Okay? So, that is what we mean the Pachamama or the Mother Earth. Okay, so let's now move on to the global food security. Okay, when we say global food security, of course, global food security remains a complex, multidimensional, and multi-sectoral problem. Why? Because of the effects of climate change, okay? So it does not only mean the capacity to produce enough food for everyone's needs, it concerns on the capacity to ensure that every citizen gets affordable, good, and nutritious food on the table on a daily basis with little or no disruption. So, when we say climate change class, di ba, sabi nga natin malaking epekto sa atin. Kumbaga, kaya ngayon nag-uulan instead na summer na dapat. But of course, it also has something to do with the global food security. Siyempre, di ba? Dahil naapektuhan yung crops and production. Okay? So, why do you think global food security is important, class? Okay? So, global food security is important because it actually helps to enhance the productivity, okay? And consecutively the production of food. Okay? So, kaya siya importante. It can also assist in providing opportunities for income generation, of course, and it generally provides improvement of nutritional advice through home economic programs and enhances the quality of rural life by way of community development. So that is why global food security is important. So ngayon, di ba, sabi nga, dapat ang isang tao or isang pamilya kumakain dapat ng 3 times a day. Minsan nga sobra pa 'di ba, minsan 5 or 6 pa because we actually have this between meals na tinatawag or mga merienda 'di ba. But do you think lahat ba nakakakain ng sapat or let's say lahat ba ng tao all over the world really have this opportunity to have affordable, good, and nutritious food on their table? 'Di ba hindi naman lahat, okay? So that's why global food security is really important para magkaroon ng pantay-pantay na karapatan when it comes to food. So the following are the threats of global food security. Okay. So we have fossil fuel dependence of industrial capitalism, high price of petroleum products, of course, di ba? Kalimitan, kapag tumataas ang presyo ng petrolyo, so naaapektuhan yung presyo ng pagkain. Okay? Because syempre, yung transportation ng pagde-deliver or pagta-transport ng mga foods to other place, from one place to another, of course. So, and that is actually a threat for global security. Then, concentration and centralization of agribusiness capital and monopoly of land holding by big corporations. So, ayan, lalo na yan, that will be also a threat of global food security when someone is monopolizing, okay, of these big corporations, okay. So yan, that will cause threat also in the global food security. And of course, fertilizer-based industrial farming. So kailangan, of course, especially ng mga farmers, di ba, yung mga, kaya nga dapat sinasabi na kailangan daw ay pondohan ng tama ang agricultural sectors, okay? Enable to produce good crops and more crops, okay, para ma-sustain or lalo pang mabigay dun sa mga pangangailangan ng tao. And of course, this climate change, which is also one of the threats of this global food security. Kasi dahil pabago-bagong panahon, so naapektuhan yung production, okay? And harvesting, okay? Yan, kaya kasama si climate change. And of course, we also have the impact of global food wastage in the environment, okay? So here, we have two, the squandering of resources, just like the water, labor capital, and of course, the unwarranted emission of greenhouse gases. So, yung squandering of resources, di ba, there are a lot of people who are wasting the resources. Kumbaga, they are spending resources lavishly and wastefully. Sabi nga natin, marami nagugutom. That's why we should not waste foods. Okay? Di ba, when you are eating in a restaurant, di ba, minsan nahihiya pa tayo na ubusin natin yung pagkain natin sa pinggan. But in reality class, okay, pag iniwan naman natin, di ba yun, ang hindi ubos, itatapon lang din naman talaga yun. Kasi there are policies sa mga restaurant na bawal yung i-take out ng mga service crew or mga waiter and waitresses. Okay? So that's why we should not waste food, okay? Or even resources just like water or labor and capital. Of course, the unwarranted emission of greenhouse gases. Okay, so di ba yung mga greenhouse gases? So these are any gas that has the property of absorbing yung infrared radiation, okay, dun sa ating Earth surface, okay, kumbaga siya yung tinatawag na net heat energy, okay, at ito yung kalimitang causes ng tinatawag nating climate change, okay, by trapping heat. So kaya yan, isa rin yung impact nitong global food wastage in the environment. Okay, then the main factor affecting food security in the third world countries or to the poorer countries is that the lack of infrastructure in harvesting, processing, storing, and transporting food supplies. Okay, that's why kanina na-mention ko dapat that the government should give enough fund for the agricultural sectors because para mabigay rin yung mga pangailangan ng mga infrastructures when it comes in harvesting, okay, in producing crops and goods, okay? Siyempre, di ba, yung mga pag-transport na nga lang ng mga yan, papunta sa isang lugar para ma-dispose or maibigay na sa mga nangangailangan or mabenta, di ba? So that is one of the main factors that affecting this food security in the third world countries. And these are practical solutions, sabi, that are needed, okay, to food loss in the third world. So we need to strengthen down the supply chain through a direct support of farmers. Of course, that's why farmers are really important class. Okay, investment in infrastructure, transportation, and expansion of the food and packaging industry, as I mentioned earlier, raising awareness among the industries, retailers, and consumers on food loss and wastage, of course, okay, proper dissemination and awareness, okay, with regard to this consumers and retailers on the food loss and wastage. So, kailangan meron yan. Kailangan mas paigtingin pa, okay, or palawakin pa. Okay? Now, let's now move on to the global citizenship. So, global citizenship is a way of living that responds to the complexities of the modern world, acknowledging that policies and actions have repercussions for people and communities internationally, regionally, and nationally or locally. Okay? So, while it may mean difference or different rather, when while it may mean different things to different people. Okay, so the most common global citizenship definition is that this is the idea that all people have civic responsibilities to the world as a whole. Okay, so sabi nga, di ba, as a citizen of this global world, we should do our duties and responsibilities, okay? So we should be aware of what is happening in our surroundings, in our environment, and of course, our duty is to protect the environment, okay? So rather than just their local communities or countries, of course, kailangan we should be concerned hindi lang dun sa ating uh, own community, but of course, uh, globally, okay? So by expanding one's personal horizons through global learning, we were able to affect change in a more meaningful sense on both a small and large scale. Okay, that's why sabi nga, global citizenship is about the shared human experience. Okay, and here they champion fundamental human rights above any national law or identity and social contracts that preserve elements of equality among all people. Okay? So yung mga in diversity, interdependence, empathy, and perspective, these are essential values of global citizenship. Okay? So global citizens, having you can see it on your slide. When we say global citizen, if you are really a global citizen, meaning you can understand the complexity of our interconnected world, you understand our biggest challenges, which is to protect the Mother Earth or this Earth, knows our social, ethical, and political responsibilities, display leadership and teamwork, solves problems through innovation and entrepreneurship, of course. Okay? So, what is the difference between a citizen and global citizen class? Okay, kanina na medyo nadaanan natin yon, di ba? So again, citizens have the rights within the state and sometimes inscribed in a constitution, okay, as well as obligations under the law. Then, global citizenship transcends, okay, political borders and assumes that responsibilities and rights can be derived from being a citizen of the world, okay? So again, being a global citizen, you must understand the complexity. Okay, of course, the biggest challenge that we are facing right now. Okay, and we should know also the social, ethical, and political responsibilities na dapat ay ginagawa natin. Okay, and as a global citizen, we should display leadership and teamwork. Okay, so now the challenge is how are you going to solve problems, okay, that we are facing right now? Okay, how are you going to use it? Okay, how are you going to try to innovate, okay, and be a responsible global citizenship of this world, okay? So again, class, that will be the end of our discussion. Thank you, everyone, and good luck to your final exam.